Imagine a company so powerful that it has influence over thousands of the world's biggest corporations. A company connected to governments, central banks, pension funds, and some of the largest financial institutions on the planet. A company that manages trillions of dollars, more money than the GDP of most countries. Yet, most people have never heard of it. You probably don't buy its products. You probably don't see its advertisements. But it may still influence your job, your retirement, and even the global economy. That company is BlackRock. Often called the most powerful company in the world, BlackRock sits at the center of global finance. But how did a relatively unknown firm become such a massive force? And what exactly makes it so powerful? To understand that, we need to go back to the beginning. BlackRock was founded in 1988 by a small group of financial professionals led by Larry Fink. At the time, the firm had a simple mission: to use advanced technology and data analysis to better manage investment risk. This idea might sound normal today, but in the 1980s it was revolutionary. Most investment firms relied on intuition and experience. BlackRock wanted to rely on data, technology, and mathematical models, and that decision would change everything. Over the next decades, the company expanded rapidly. Through acquisitions, new products, and institutional partnerships, BlackRock slowly built what would become the largest asset management company in the world. Today, the firm manages over $12 trillion in assets, making it the biggest asset manager globally. To understand the scale of that number, if BlackRock were a country, its assets would rank among the largest economies on Earth. But that money doesn't belong to BlackRock. It belongs to millions of investors. So why does this make the company so powerful? The answer lies in how that money is invested. BlackRock's core business is simple. It manages money for others. These clients include pension funds, governments, banks, insurance companies, universities, and ordinary investors. When people invest through BlackRock, the firm decides how that money is allocated across global markets. And because the firm manages trillions of dollars, those decisions can move entire markets. But BlackRock's real breakthrough came from something called exchange-traded funds, or ETFs. Through its brand iShares, BlackRock became the largest provider of ETFs in the world, holding a huge share of the global market. ETFs allow investors to buy entire market indexes instead of individual stocks. This form of passive investing has exploded in popularity, and as more money flows into ETFs, more power flows into the companies managing them, including BlackRock. Here's where things get interesting. Because BlackRock invests money across thousands of companies, it often becomes one of the largest shareholders in major corporations. For example, BlackRock has held significant stakes in companies such as Apple, Microsoft, Amazon. In fact, the company owns shares in most of the Fortune 500 companies, giving it a stake in nearly every sector of the global economy. This phenomenon is sometimes called universal ownership. BlackRock doesn't just invest in one industry. It invests in almost all of them: technology, energy, healthcare, finance, transportation. This means that when major corporate decisions are made, like executive compensation, mergers, or environmental policies, BlackRock often has a vote. And with those votes comes influence. Shareholders in public companies vote on important decisions. Because BlackRock manages such enormous investments, it participates in tens of thousands of corporate votes every year. In many cases, BlackRock is one of the largest shareholders at the table. This gives the firm enormous influence over how companies are run. But critics argue that this level of concentration raises important questions. If a few giant asset managers control large shares of many companies, how much influence do they really have over the global economy? BlackRock responds that it simply manages money on behalf of clients and follows strict fiduciary responsibilities. But regardless of the debate, its scale is undeniable. Behind BlackRock's success lies one of the most powerful financial technology systems ever built. It's called Aladdin. No, not the Disney character. This Aladdin stands for Asset, Liability, and Debt and Derivative Investment Network, and it might be one of the most important financial systems on Earth. Aladdin analyzes investment risk, market conditions, and financial scenarios using advanced algorithms. But the real twist is that BlackRock doesn't just use this system internally. It also licenses Aladdin to other financial institutions, banks, insurance companies, pension funds, even competitors. At one point, the system was tracking tens of trillions of dollars in assets worldwide, making it responsible for monitoring a significant share of global financial markets. In other words, many of the world's largest investors rely on technology created by BlackRock. That means the company doesn't just manage money, it also provides the technology infrastructure of modern finance. BlackRock's influence extends beyond corporations. During financial crises, governments and central banks sometimes turn to private experts to help stabilize markets. And BlackRock has often been one of those experts. For example, during economic emergencies, the firm has been hired to assist with programs involving large-scale bond purchases and financial stabilization efforts. This has raised both praise and criticism. Supporters say the firm simply provides expertise. Critics worry about potential conflicts of interest. Either way, it shows how deeply embedded BlackRock has become in the global financial system. To understand BlackRock's influence, consider this. The world's largest asset managers, BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street, collectively oversee tens of trillions of dollars in assets. Together, they are among the biggest shareholders in a large portion of publicly traded companies. That level of financial concentration is something that has never existed before in economic history. And because many investments are linked through index funds, these firms often hold stakes in competing companies within the same industries. For example, airlines competing with airlines, banks competing with banks, tech companies competing with tech companies. This interconnected ownership structure has become a defining feature of modern capitalism. With great influence comes scrutiny. BlackRock has been criticized from multiple sides of the political spectrum. Some critics argue the company has too much influence over corporate governance. Others believe it should take stronger action on issues like climate change. The firm has also faced pressure from different governments and organizations regarding environmental and social policies. At the same time, BlackRock argues that its primary responsibility is simple: to deliver returns for its investors. And because those investors include pension funds, retirement accounts, and everyday savers, its decisions affect millions of people. Despite criticism, BlackRock continues to grow. The company has expanded into private markets, infrastructure investments, digital assets, artificial intelligence tools. Its total assets under management have climbed to record levels, reaching over $13 trillion in recent years. And as global investing continues to shift toward index funds and ETFs, firms like BlackRock may become even more central to the financial system. But the real question isn't just about money, it's about influence. In a world where financial markets shape economies, politics, and technological development, the institutions that manage those markets may quietly become some of the most powerful actors on the planet. BlackRock rarely appears in headlines compared to tech giants or famous billionaires. Yet behind the scenes, its reach stretches across the global economy. It manages trillions of dollars. It owns shares in thousands of companies. It provides technology used by major financial institutions. And it participates in decisions that shape corporate governance worldwide. That's why many analysts describe BlackRock not just as an investment firm, but as one of the most influential financial institutions ever created. A quiet giant at the center of global capitalism. If you found this video fascinating, you're not alone. The world of hidden financial power is full of stories like this. So if you want more deep dives into the companies, industries, and forces shaping our world, subscribe to the channel. Because sometimes the most powerful forces in the world are the ones you never hear about. And the next video might surprise you even more.